I haven't been kind of keeping you guys in the loop about what I've been working on, but I think it's time that you guys know what's going on. Well, you guys know not long ago I started using the Dillon 750, right, to do all my stuff. Once I had the 750 to do my brass prep for F-class and PRS. Yes, I do my brass prep here, everything, okay? I did make some modifications, slight modifications to the press. One of them is, as you can see, the plate doesn't flex. See that? It's solid, but it still rotates. Okay, so that was one of the modifications. F-class John has a video on how to do that thrust bearing, and I did some other modifications, which include machining the underside of the plate. I just removed about 10 thousandths on my lathe, and the reason for that is, instead of, F-class John talks about sanding the plate flat, but I have a lathe, so I don't have to do that, right? So by removing the center, then it only rests on the perimeter, which is really all that matters, right? So you eliminate that teeter-totter effect that, you can sand it flat, or you can remove the center and then it only rests on the perimeter. So that's what I did, and as you can see, it's completely solid. There's no play whatsoever, so that made it way better. Of course, once I did that, started doing all my brass prep on it, and you guys saw I was pointing my freedom seeds. So I stood here, and if you guys have seen it, I'd stand here, put one in here, let it do its thing, remove it, replace it, up and down, right? I have to do thousands of these things, right? So it didn't take long for me to go, what if I automate the entire process? So that's what I've been working on, and that's what these are, okay? So what I did is I removed the wire that goes here, that's supposed to kick the brass over. I removed it, so now all these, they just sit here and they just go around and around. Okay, you'll see. See, they don't fall out. I also had to move this thing out of the way because they wouldn't, it would interfere with them. So this is the first prototype, and it's not working very well. The reason for that is they're too short. So I've been making a ton of these things. Let me show you. There's a ton of them that I've been making, kind of different variations. And I think I finally, well, I don't know for sure. Let me turn this thing off. I don't know for sure, but I think the next iteration of these holders is the one that's finally gonna work. So anyway, that's what I've been working on, and I'm going to show you. I still need to get a feeder. I don't have a feeder, right? So the idea is, once these start working properly, they come up here, they get pointed, they need to get removed from these cups. That has already been solved, and I will show you that as well. Now the only thing I need to work on is making sure that these, because what happens is these, they're too sloppy right now. Okay, and so if it's coming up and it's sideways like that, you can imagine it's a problem. So they need to stay pretty straight. So that's the next iteration that I'm doing. They're going to be much tighter, and they're going to be longer as well. Let me show you that, and hopefully together we can come up with a working prototype, which is what I'm working on. But I'm pretty excited, and I just want to share that with you guys, because I think if I get it to work, it's really going to change how we do things in the precision world, because everything is done on presses, single stage presses right now. And the idea is that they're just way more accurate. They're not. Oh man, I said it. They're not. You can make these things just as accurate, especially because of the auto drive. The auto drive is really what has changed my life, in a sense, and my mind. Well, once you change the mind, you change my life. because it is motor driven. That motor never gets tired, right? It's going to give you the exact same pressure, exact same speed, everything, every time. And when you're doing, even if you're using this thing, once you run it 500 times in a row or 1,000 times in a row, however many you do in a batch, trust me, by the end, you're going to be a lot more tired than you were at the beginning. Your mind starts to wander. I mean, it just, if any of you have ever done that, you'll know what I mean. So this thing has changed my life, but now I want to automate that portion of it. By the way, a lot of you have asked about that. That's a Hoover pointer. I also have the Witten. All right, let me show you what I'm working on. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna drill the center. I'm using a 2-fluted end mill, center cutting end mill. Right now what I did is I moved that end mill off center slightly to the side, and it's acting like a boring bar. And that's just boring the hole to size. Make sure it's perfectly true. Now it's going in the center, and it's taking out that nipple right in the center. And now we're gonna profile the OD. This is the final pass. And now we're gonna cut it off. I'm gonna turn the coolant back on for that. The Freedom seat is supported a lot better. I still have to do a second op where I remove this nipple from the center. And that's the same nipple that we had to remove on the inside. You see it's got a slide hole right in the middle. That's just so that that's gone. Obviously we don't want to ruin the Freedom seat base. That's why I had to remove it. Make sure it's perfectly flat on the bottom. So this one's going to require a second op. By second op, I mean second operation. I'm ready to do another one. So all I have to do is loosen the chuck. Bump the stock right up to that tool. Tighten it. And we're good to go. I'm using 303 stainless. Let's do one more. Again, 2-fluted end mill. Now we're going to use the same end mill as a boring bar. Turn off the coolant so you guys can see. And again, this is where we take out that small nipple right in the center. We're done with that, with all the inside operations. Now we're going to do the OD. We're going to profile it. And that was the roughing pass. Now this is the finishing pass. This is turning at 1500 RPM. And here comes the parting. I'm going to try to leave the coolant off. There it went. All right, we're ready for the next one. So I'm going to turn a few of these, and then I'll be back. All right, so like I said, now we just need to remove the nipple, this one right here. So I extended my end mill holder out, and now my jaws have a stop right there. So I'm just gonna stick it in there, right there. You hear the stop, and just slightly tighten it. And now I'm just gonna run my end mill holder, or my 2-flute end mill, up against the tool or the part. I'll show you. Then we're gonna slow the rest of the way. Here we go. See that? Now we're gonna stop it. Let me show you what we got. All right, so what we have is, we're only taking out the center. Okay, once we take out the center, we're kind of doing the same thing we did on the plate for the press, right? It's just gonna ride on the perimeter, which really is all that matters. We don't want the teeter-totter thing to happen on this thing either. So we're just taking out the center. The outs or the bottom was already machined when we parted it off, so we want to keep that all consistent because the lathe did all that at the same time. Okay, so even if we get this one off, you know, on the depth, it doesn't matter. What matters is what already has been machined, and that's the important part. Okay, all right, let me do the other ones. That's it. I got all 5. Let's go see if they work. But before we go any further, check out the shirt that I'm wearing today. If you like it and you want to get your own, you can go to my website, erikcortina.com. Get it. All right, let's get back to work. All right, so we're gonna remove these and replace them with the ones that we just made. You can see how much longer the new ones are. Right there. So let's do that. Let's replace them all. Oh, already got a problem because these are longer, which is precisely what I just said. So of course it's gonna bottom out on the die. That's the problem with being too long. These were the ones that were hanging up, these other ones. So now when we saw the new ones, it's running like it's supposed to. Now I'm gonna get this set up, and we're gonna go for a test drive. All right, let's do the first one. Let's just do one cycle. All right, you can tell it got slightly pointed. I'm gonna do another 15. I'm not setting it up properly, okay? This is just kind of for testing purposes. One cycle. Oh. Got stuck, but it's pointing for sure. I need to clean that die out. Let me put a little die wax right here, see if that keeps it from getting stuck. Do one cycle. Nope. You know, somebody mentioned this on the forum the other day, and I said, you know, that's never happened to me before. Well, here it is. All right, do one more. All right, come on. Okay, so I had it on the fastest one, so obviously we can't do that, so we gotta go to the 900. All right, we gotta keep the son of a gun from getting stuck somehow. All right, I'm gonna have to clean the die out. I'll be right back. All right, so all I'm doing is I'm taking a brush, okay, wrapping around a patch and cleaning the bore. I think this is where it's getting stuck. Okay. This is a number 7, by the way. I don't know if that matters to anyone. But, all right. Let's see if that made a difference. And it's working. All right. Now, it's been pointed. You can see it's picking up the seeds. See, it's empty now. See what happened? It drops it on the backside. You hear that? Let's stop it right here so I can show you what's going on. Okay, I'll show you over here. All right, so I got you on the back side so you guys can see what's going on. All right. You guys see that? I'm gonna have to work on that. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Some of these are falling out, so I'm gonna have to make them maybe a little tighter, but it's working. This die is working. That's the one that, you know, I've been working on for a while. This one, of course, we can get a double alpha feeder, whatever that thing's called. And of course the pointer's working. Everything's working. The only thing I need to do now is just these ones that we made earlier. I'm just gonna change the base slightly, make it a little larger so that it fits a little tighter so they don't fall out. But other than that, everything is working just fine. Of course, like I said, I'm gonna need a feeder, and that would go here. This, you guys already know how it works. And this is the die that I came up with. I will give you a lot more details later about it, but I'm that close. I am so close to getting this thing to work, as you guys saw. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna change these, and once I have it working, then I'm probably, either I can put a tray right here if I don't want them to fall the way, or even just put some foam on that tray, and you know, so when they fall they don't hit that tray. But maybe even a you know, a small chute, I don't know, whatever, anything you want you can do there. But I mean, I don't think that fall is gonna damage them anyway, but we're that close. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think. I'm freaking excited about this, as you can tell, because once I get this thing to work, I'll put a feeder up here. You know, it's gonna feed here, it's gonna point, and then it's going to eject, and then I just stand here and just make sure nothing is jammed. But that thing's gonna do everything on its own. The other thing I have to do, okay, before somebody says anything, I'm going to run all these. I'm gonna remove this pointer, and I'm gonna run all these all the way up. Okay, leave it up like this, move to the top. That is so cool. You guys saw that? Anyway, I'm gonna move it all the way to the top. I'm gonna remove this die, maybe one of these short ones. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it right here. You know what, I'll show you. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a die like this one. Okay, I'm gonna put a locking ring on it, obviously, but just kind of showing you what I'm doing. I'm gonna run the ram all the way up like I did here, and then I'm going to take a measurement with a depth micrometer to the base of that holder. Obviously what I'm looking for is for all the bases to be identical. If I can, you know, if not, I'll have to, you know, make special ones. Hopefully, you know, it should all be the same, right? However, we cannot we cannot simply assume that they are. So that's what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna check and make sure that they all are exactly the same. And if, you know, once they are, then we know all the pointing is exactly the same. We cannot run a risk of you know, thinking we're doing something good and we're not. So I'm gonna check all that, and once I do, all these are gonna be the same. You know, everything's gonna run like it's supposed to. These are gonna fit a little tighter so that they don't fall out on the backside like these we're doing, some of these. Once I do that, I think, you know, of course you guys saw me feeding it by hand, but once I get it working like it's supposed to, I'll just get a feeder. It'll be great. It'll be great. Thank you so much for joining me. Subscribe if you haven't. Give this video a like, and do not tell F-Class John about it, because I know he's gonna call me, he's gonna want his own setup. And other than that, give me a like. This is what I've been working on. So close, and I'm sharing it with you. Merry Christmas. I hope all your groups are one whole. See ya.
Tonight I'm feeling me, gonna make an ugly scene. Tonight I'm feeling